Welcome back to neosouled Radio. I am Kyri Nashiem, aka neosouled, and today we are here with indie singer, songwriter, and rapper Kyle Horn. Thank you, Kyle.
Hi.
How
Hi.
are you doing? Can you let our audience and our viewers know a little bit about you?
My name is Kyle Horn. I'm 22 years old. I'm from Fairfield, Alabama, and I make music. I can't really
Your music, it's so nostalgic. That's the first thing that comes to mind
thank
when
you.
it comes to the content that you're putting out. It definitely has that 90s, early 2000s feel and vibe. Where did you get your inspiration, not only for your music, but in the way that you present yourself online?
I feel a lot of it is from growing up, looking at a lot of like pop culture, internet things, and
Mhm.
just seeing artists like Khalees
Mhm.
or many other artists that came from the MySpace, Tumblr time. And I spent a lot of time on those particular websites growing up. So I feel it all just is me just living out my teenage fantasies, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And that's a beautiful thing. I tell people all the time, the artists that were thriving on Tumblr are so influential. And a lot of them are huge today, or they're inspiring the next generation, like you and I. One thing that really sticks out to me too is the way that you do those carousels. And it really makes the experience of listening to your music, it brings so much depth to it. I know that you mentioned Khalees and pop culture, but what other references inspired you?
I just love early 2000s marketing promo too. Like I feel like a lot of music back then was marketed as a product. There would be buses of the album or like there would be like press junkets, little physical things like that. So a
Mhm.
lot of things I do with revolving promotion. I like to recreate that outside of the Instagram social media-ish marketing. So that's what inspired me with that too.
Yeah, and I really love that. I think that it's such a cool thing that you bring to the table. And
Thank
I'd like
you.
to know, and I think our audience would be very interested, what is the message that you hope to get across with your music? I really sense they're definitely about love, but also about identity and confidence and kind of making your claim in the world. But I'd love to hear your take on it.
Yeah, that's really one of the main reasons why I want to make music is, me being from Fairfield, Alabama, there's not a lot of like unique artists or people that express themselves. And I want to be able to be that voice for people from smaller cities or things like that. You don't have to be from, Atlanta or Houston or like big cities like LA to sort of make it. You can make a name for yourself where you are and inspire other people.
I love that. I love that so much. A lot of times being from a small town, like you said, it can be very isolating. I feel like there can be a lot of pressure to shrink yourself and shrink your own dreams. Is
Mhm.
that something that you personally experienced by your peers or your family, or do you think that you've been supported in your journey?
I would say in the beginning stages, it was difficult. I would say like middle school and high school, there's a tendency sometimes a lot of us, you can succumb to what everyone else is doing. But I never was the person that followed the trends. Well, that sounds really cliche to say, but like follow the trends or, do what everyone else is doing. I always tried to do just what I wanted to do, and what I wanted to do wasn't what everyone else was doing. So I just continued doing that. And the more I got older and more confident within myself, it started coming out in my music or just how I dress or how I present myself.
I love that. So it sounds like your artistic creation has been a way of you finding yourself and affirming yourself.
Yes, very much so, very much so.
That's a beautiful thing. And
Mhm.
so, with your recent release, Back and Forth, tell me a little bit about that. What is the background behind the lyricism and everything?
Thank you. Back and forth is about a relationship where the partner and the singer is going back and forth, arguing or just having multiple problems, and it's just a toxic relationship. Me personally, I never experienced that because I never been in a relationship, but I tend to like just write music from different point of views, and I just kind of see my music as just a way to just pretend. So
Hmm. I love that though. I love that you're able to dive into fantasy. And I feel like sometimes we write things and they could play out in the future. But
Yeah.
outside of being in an official relationship, I feel like that whole dynamic is something that a lot of people can relate to.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
yearning after somebody, having something unrequited, or like the lyrics say, going back and forth. Like
Yeah.
they want to mess with you sometimes, but only when it's convenient for them. And so,
Yes.
is that
Yes.
something that you've gone through as well?
Yes. Especially too now being in college, and dealing with relationships and dealing with situationships, there is a lot of that and people wanting you for certain things or not fulfilling your needs. And there's a lot of that and manipulation and using and miscommunication, all of that.
Mm. And do you feel like your music is your way of healing from that, getting closure from that?
Oh, most definitely. Like my first mixtape, Utopia, a lot of that was written because of something that transpired during my freshman year of college, and there was a lot of that. And I put it into the EP and the mixtape and all that stuff. So a lot of things that I went through that I put in that mixtape.
Mm. And I really enjoyed listening to that as well. I mean,
Thank you.
without a doubt, I can't lie. It's Two Left Feet that is like the star of the show for me.
Thank you.
One thing about that one is not only, the actual song, but I love how you put out so many different versions of your music in general. It
Thank you.
honestly brings to mind like Beyonce when she drops her albums, especially back in the day. She would drop the album and then there would be a whole remix album.
Yes, I was also, there's another thing when I was in high school, when I was younger, I would see, there was the album release and then there was the singles, and
Mhm.
singles would have the remix, they would have the call out hook, the instrumental remix, acapella. Like I was really big on having establishing that sort of thing. But it's kind of funny too, because now, people do versions packed with the sped up and things like that.
Mhm.
But that's something I always wanted to do. So and I feel like it too it also brings the single more life. Like instead of just dropping the single, you have another version that people can listen to and you can release it with a different cover and it's like you're re-releasing the song.
Yes, and even you saying that, you kind of reminded me of Beyonce, where she's like, people just keep dropping singles.
People don't make albums anymore. They don't make albums. They just try to sell a bunch of little quick singles and they burn out and they put out a new one and they burn out and they put out a new one. People don't even listen to a body of work anymore.
I definitely agree with you. It makes it a lot more interactive as like your audience, as a fan, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's dope because even if maybe you didn't connect to the initial single, you could find so much life in one of the remixes. I would definitely say like the 2 a.m. version of Two Left Feet is just so cool. That is
Thank you.
Chef's Kiss. And like I said, I really enjoyed the regular version, but that kind of ties into it too. Sometimes the other versions can steal the show. Like
Mhm.
that's such a vibe, and I mean, they're honestly like two different songs, but
Yeah, that's also inspiration to Mariah Carey. When she does remixes and things like that, it's the different song. It's like a different style of songs. And I feel like Two Left Feet, what I wanted to do with that was there's the upbeat, kind of like happy-ish version. Both versions mean the same thing, but the
mhm.
instrumentation and the vibe is more different. That's why I wanted like a 2 a.m. version or call it 2 a.m. because it's like a day and night type.
Right, right. And I'm glad that you brought that up too, because
Mhm.
when I listened to the initial version, I heard the lyrics, but when I listened to the 2 a.m. version, I felt the lyrics. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is actually sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That's so cool. I love
Thank
that you
you.
were able to do that. Your vocal production as well and the use of distortion is very unique. I love that you do that. How did you get to that point in your artistry? And did you feel some hesitation with veering away from traditional ways of creating?
Hmm, That's a good question. I feel it started when I was starting to work on this new project. When I stopped working on Caltopia and I started working on, this Dummy Boy, which is I'm working on now. I started to become more experimental with auto-tune and more of the digital type voice and speeding my voice up. And it was kind of like a comfortability thing because sometimes I hated the way I if I was singing in my regular voice and I would hate how I sound. And so I would just start doing the distortion and speeding it up. And then eventually it kind of turned into like its own sort of sound. And
Mhm.
that's kind of how I adapted to that sound. And it's a lot of that, there's a lot of distortion on this project. And there'll be some new songs and some of my regular voice and some of the distorted voices too.
Mm. And I love the fact that you've been doing the distorted voice. I feel like,
Thank you.
honestly, I feel like that's a whole wave in itself, but I feel like I was seeing you do it first or hearing your music with it first.
Thank you.
It's really cool, and I applaud your bravery with that. I know that you just mentioned your upcoming project. Could you tell us a little bit more about it?
Dummy Boy is a caricature I made of myself. It's like an alter ego. It's inspired, kind of sort of inspired by Beyonce, Nicki Minaj, and just alter egos in general. It's like a whole thing. I gotta break it down. Okay. So Dummy Boy is a mixtape that's coming out probably next year.
Okay.
But my recent EP Boy in May was Act One and Two Left Feet and the releases that I just dropped now is a part of Act Two, which is called Dummy, and that's Act Two.
Oh,
And so Boy and Dummy will be put together with additional songs, and Dummy Boy will be released sometime next year as one big thing. So
okay.
that's what Dummy Boy is, and it's a caricature with a motorcycle helmet and angel wings, and it's sort of like I like to say my powerful version of myself.
Mm, mm. And what gives Dummy Boy his power?
Just support and the passion for what he does. It's just everything that I wanted to be as a kid. Like just I would say like just my higher being, just a rock star, just someone who doesn't care about the rules, doesn't care about just the societal standards that he's put under, the pressure. It's just everything is just all gone when Dummy Boy is in his true element.
Mm. And that's a beautiful thing. Like
Mhm.
you're becoming the superhero that you needed. I love that. And they say that creating some type of alter ego or alias is like a real powerful thing, in order to manifest and grow. Right now, do you see what comes next? Is there going to be another saga or?
I don't know. Caltopia was kind of it wasn't an alter ego, but there was like a uniform character with the cowboy and the utopia. Like I feel like I'm always big on world building when it comes to my eras and stuff like that. So I feel there will be another character along future years, but I'm not sure about like saga or sequel, things like that. I always like outdoing myself.
Right, right. And you're so consistent as well. Like you're always
Mhm.
dropping content, you're always dropping music, you're always dropping something. How do you maintain your consistency? And as a creative, does it get isolating creating so much, or is it more of a group effort?
It is isolating sometimes, especially to being from, like I said, a small town and not having like a team sort of kind of. I see like my other artist friends, they're from New York and they have a videographer, they have a director friend and stuff like that. I do everything by myself. So
Mhm.
it gets isolating and it gets lonely, but I have to just tell myself that eventually, like I keep just doing what I'm doing, that it will reach people and I'll be able to get to that point where I won't need to be doing everything by myself.
Exactly. And you're speaking it into existence right now. Even just hearing you say that, I just have this feeling that comes over me that it's like, you don't even know all of the blessings that are coming towards you. I think that
Thank you.
moments
That made
like
me cry.
this, oh
Go ahead.
no, I don't even mean to be like cheesy. You feel me? We're all reflections. When I say that, I'm speaking to the people out there, I'm speaking to myself. Like, you don't know what blessings the universe and God has in store for you.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying, like, I feel it for you. I feel like
Thank
this
you.
is going to be a moment that you look back on and you're like, damn, remember when I did my first interview? Maybe you have some type of nerves or with the loop, and now you have all of these accomplishments and blessings. And with that, I was going to ask, what have been your proudest moments as a creative so far?
It was in October. I went to Atlanta for it's this rave dance thing called Move to Move. It's like a house dance party thing. But I went to a club with my sister for we was in Atlanta for the weekend for a Kaytranada concert, and we was at the club, and like two, three people had pointed me out, and they said like, I know you, and you make music, and you're Kyle Horn, and this, and that was my first time outside of like people that I knew in real life acknowledging who I was as an artist and acknowledging my music, and they were fans of my music. And then when I went to the Kaytranada concert, there was two of supporters of mine that had recognized me there, so it was like this is like a sign to keep doing it. And I had cried that whole weekend because I was just like, this is like it was a sign that, people know who I am, and that if I just continue just doing it, that it will be other places where I'm recognized. And I mean, not saying I do it for the recognition, but seeing the support or seeing someone say that they support you, especially when you don't know them like that, it means a lot to me.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. You're really building community purely off of being yourself and
Yeah,
expressing yourself. In a lot of ways, it sounds like you are healing and processing your emotions through your art. And
yes, I am.
it's so inspiring. And you never even know all of the people that you're inspiring at
Yeah,
a point. And that's something that I always got to remind myself as well. And I also think that a lot of times you could be ahead of the curve. And that's kind of what I get from you too.
thank,
So just keep pushing. You feel me? Like you
thank you.
gotta keep pushing, even when there's times where you feel like people aren't connecting as much. Don't get caught up in the numbers or nothing, because the people will come, the numbers will come. And I know
Thank
you're
you.
already seeing that. So.
Thank you so much. That's really also like even about like I know like Dummy Boy is necessarily like about me and my powerful self, but it's also to inspire other people to become their powerful self. Like Dummy Boy may not be your alter ego, it may not be your higher version of yourself, but there may be some sort of high version of Kyrie that you have inside of you, and it's about just unlocking that rock star, whoever you are in your most powerful form. That's what that is. And that's what Caltopia was too. Like Caltopia, although it was my name, it was Caltopia, but everyone has their own universe, everyone has their own world that they feel the most themselves in. Like I'm really big on individuality, self-expression, and just like not holding back in any shape or form.
Mm. Thank you for that. That was a word in itself. You feel me? And it's such a beautiful thing that you put that intention into your art, into your creations.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the way that Black artists, specifically indie Black artists, they're often pigeonholed into specific genres such as hip hop and R&B? SZA, Tyler, the Creator, and more have spoken on this. Do you feel like that's something that you experience, or what are your thoughts on the topic?
I feel, well, from my experience, I feel like sometimes I do feel boxed in, like because I'm Black, that I have to cater to a certain audience because, sometimes when people know I make music, they expect R&B, they expect like, oh, well, you want to sound like Chris Brown, or Chris Brown is nothing like, none of my
What? I
inspiration.
never got. Oh wow.
But people like Chris Brown are like just some sort of like, they try to put you in a box, or like just, oh, well, you make this, or like, or because alternatives, you are compared to Tyler, which Tyler is an amazing artist, but that's not, people, it's not a lot of examples. So because it's not a lot of examples, they'll group you with just the one person that they know. And it's like it's such a broad range of artists, and they're so versatile. Like I can do R&B, I can do, pop, I can do like alternative. Like I just don't like being labeled as just one thing. I don't like I just don't consider myself just hip hop. I just like it's just so I can't explain. It's just not, I don't know, it's just not enough to just say that's R&B or that's alternative, because it's just so much that I am, and just putting a label on it, just I feel like it just hinders it a little bit.
Right. It can be very limiting.
Yeah, yeah, that was the word.
No, I definitely agree. And with that, how do you feel about the direction that music is going? What
Hmm.
excites you about it?
Okay, well, what excites me, um, I can't say it's. a lot more people are able to be found on social media platforms. It's more easier to content create and things like that. But that's also a downside of it all because content creating can drain the art. I'm positive though that there are more people because there are artists that I know that are still on the come up, my friends and stuff that they kind of have the same views that I do, or we have the same sort of mentality. So I have hope that they're gonna rise the same way I am. So I do have hope for the future of the music. In terms of just content creating and just the overall need for numbers and stuff to make things, I would say, more popular. It's just the overall like politics of record labels and streaming numbers and all that stuff. That's when it gets kind of like,
I see.
yeah, it gets like draining and scary and yeah.
Hmm. And when it comes to that, do you have a desire to join a label? Do you want to stay independent?
That's a weird thing to a weird question. I want to, but it's just I be hearing things about, that is you have to be so like educated on that kind of stuff because you get signed in shitty labels. Oh, can I curse? Can I curse?
Oh, yeah, you're good.
Okay, okay. Sign the shitty labels and, bad deals and they take your masters and just be, I don't want that. But then there's this side of the record label where it's like, I want something where I can, be able to fund things and that's just a slippery slope. Maybe if it comes, it comes and it's the right thing,
Mhm.
I'll take it. But I think being independent is where I should be right now.
Right, right. It sounds like right now you're more focused on putting your art out there, building community, inspiring
Yes,
others. And if it comes, it comes. But if it does
yes,
come, you're going to be smart about the way that you play it out.
yes,
Right,
yes.
right. Okay. I just want to thank you again for your time. I've really enjoyed speaking with you. Is there
Thank you.
anything else that you want your audience to know about yourself, your music, anything, your thoughts?
My name is Kyle Horn, and like I said, I'm from Fairfield, Alabama. You will hear of me soon. You will know who I am. Kyri is he's an amazing person, and he's gonna go far with this because he's an amazing interviewer. Especially this is my first interview, but like I said, this is the first time you see me, and this is not gonna be the last. That's all I want to say. Dummy boy forever.
Dummy Boy Forever. I love that. And thank you for that. You are my first interview in a long time. And so thank you for allowing me not only to be your first interview, but for just gracing me with your presence because
Thank
you made
you.
this a very comfortable experience for me as well. And
Thank you. You made it because I was nervous at first. You made it comfortable for me too.
look, this is not the last that my audience will see of you. And I hope that we can converse again. Let's do an
Yes,
update. You feel me?
yes.
Line. Anyway, y'all, this has been Neo Soul Radio with Kyri Nashiem, aka Neo Soul, with Kyle Horn, aka Dummy Boy. To remember, your mind is a garden, your thoughts are the seeds. You can grow flowers or you can grow weeds. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.